website पर.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
A very warm welcome to everybody because in such a hectic season also we are here to take the benefit of a very good seminar organized by our ICAI-CP committee and the very good speaker made available to us. And I am thankful to all the participants because they have spared the time and just encouraged ourselves that how much the knowledge is important. So thanks to member. Now I would like to say that the today's seminar is the very important seminar for the tax audit and the very hectic season going on. And our first speaker is Mr. Advocate CA Jignesh Parikh. He is one of the member of a chartered accountant fraternity, and now he is practicing as an advocate in Gujarat High Court and appearing before number of tax authorities. And he has delivered more than 150 lectures between and before different forums, and people are just eager to listen him. And thank you, Jignesh sir. I am also one of the listener that who likes to listen you very much. The way and the momentum what you are delivering is really excellent. So thank you very much for being here, Jignesh sir. And now the dais is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. The honorable members of CP committee of ICI and all the participants. It is indeed a matter of pride and privilege to be here and to discuss and deliberate with you on the interesting issue, that is intricacies involved in section 44 AD. I would start this discussion with, because I have been given a 1 hour time to deliberate on this, and this is really an interesting subject. So I would start my discussion with section 44 AA first, because we need to understand quickly 44 AA. We need to understand 44 AB, and then we'll quickly go to section 44 AD, and thereafter we will deal with the problems that the members would have. So we'll deal with their queries as well. So let's quickly first, and of course, in between, if any member has any query, they can certainly stop me and they can raise their query, so we can immediately deal with that particular query. Hope that this would be a proper line of action for proceeding further.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, there is a separate question answer session is kept.
Okay. So you want the questions to be taken at the end?
Right, sir. That would be better, sir.
No worries.
That would be better because there is separate platform.
I'm comfortable that wise as well. That's not a problem.
There is separate 10-minute session show for that.
Okay. Understood. All right. So now let's deal with section 44 AA first. Section 44 AA talks about maintenance of books of accounts. Section 44 AB talks about audit. Section 44 AD talks about presumptive taxation in case of eligible assessee engaged in eligible business. So far as section 44 AA, it goes this wise. Every person carrying on legal, medical, engineering or architectural profession, or a profession of accountancy or technical consultancy or interior decoration or any other profession as is notified by the board in the official gazette shall keep and maintain such books of account and other documents as may enable the assessing officer to compute the income in accordance with the provisions of the act. So this is what section 44 AA 1 provides. So now if we look at section 44 AA 2, they talk about every person carrying on business or profession not being a profession referred to in subsection 1. So now in line of this discussion, if we analyze 44 AA, it talks about, or it divides the activities in two parts. Or let me first go to the chapter itself. The chapter is business and profession, profits and gains of business and profession. Now, but 44 AA says that it is business profession, but then within profession there are two parts: specified profession and non-specified profession. So if we look at 44 AA 1, it is applicable to business, to a specified profession, whereas 44 AB 44AA2 is applicable to business plus non-specified profession. So when we conclude or when we would when we are posed a question whether am I supposed to maintain books of accounts, our bifurcation would be this wise: business including non-specified profession and profession and specified profession. If we go to 44AB clause A talks about audit in case of business. 44AB clause B talks about audit in case of profession. So there is no bifurcation as regards specified profession and non-specified profession. There we have to look into the facts as if it's a business or a profession. So if you are carrying on an activity which is a profession, but unless it is a specified profession or profession as specified in 44AA1, 44AA1 will not be applicable. Similarly, if you go to 44ADA, they talk about professions which are specified in nature. So once again, 44AA1 and 44ADA, they are in line. So while taking a decision whether 44AB audit would be applicable or not, whether books of accounts are to be maintained or not, or whether my case would fall under 44ADA or it would fall under 44AD, the first distinction that is required to be kept in mind is that for 44AA, what is relevant is business and specified profession, which would fall in 44AA2. 44AA1, it would be only specified profession, correct? So unless otherwise I am carrying on a specified profession, 44AA1 will not be applicable. Unless the 44AA1 would be applicable only if I carry out specified profession. And they say that, so again I am referring to 44AA1 with this understanding and with this background very quickly. Every person carrying on legal, medical, engineering or architectural profession or the profession of accountancy or technical consultancy or interior decoration. So they have specified the profession which are specified, that is legal, medical, engineering, architectural profession or profession of accountancy or technical consultancy or interior decoration. And then they have given power to the board to notify the profession. So these are the 6 professions. Now if we go to the rules, they have notified 2 more professions. So technically speaking, if you go to the rules now, we have rule 6F, therein they have notified 2 more professions, and that is the profession of authorized representative or film artist. These are the 2 professions additionally that they have notified over there. Now, these 8 professions would tantamount to the specified profession. Subsection 2 says that every person carrying on a business or a profession, not a specified profession, then the books of accounts are required to be maintained if the case falls in any of the 4 categories. What are those 4 categories? Number 1, if you are an individual and income from business or profession exceeds 1,20,000 rupees, or his total sale turnover gross receipts, as the case may be in a business or profession, exceeds 10 lakhs, you are supposed to maintain. But if you are individual or HUF, then the limit is 120 would go to 240, 10 lakhs will go to 25 lakhs of rupees. In case where it is a new business, the applicability would come if your turnover or income is likely to exceed that limit. I am purposefully not going to the 3rd and the 4th category right now because they talk about the presumptive taxation, and then quickly I'll go with the subsection 3. They say that the board may, having regard to the nature of the business or profession carried on by any class of the person prescribed by rules, the books of accounts and other documents, including including inventories whenever necessary to be kept and maintained, and under subsection 1 or 2, the particulars to contain therein and the form and the manner in which they are to be maintained. And if you go to subsection 4, without prejudice to the provisions of subsection 3, the board may prescribe by the rules the period for which they are to be maintained. So now with this discussion of 44AA, quickly if I can deal, 44AA talks very clearly that subsection 3 and subsection 4 empowers the board to frame a rule as regards कौन से बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स रखने हैं, कहां रखने हैं, किस तरीके से रखने हैं और कितने साल तक रखने हैं. तो उसके रूल्स बनाने के पावर्स बोर्ड को दे दिए गए हैं, and accordingly we have rule 6F. Now if you refer to the rule 6F, the rule 6F is applicable only to the persons covered under 44AA1. That means it is applicable only to specified professions. So if we are now posing, if we pose a question to ourselves now, that what, do we have any do we have any rule so far as a business plus non-specified profession is concerned? The answer is no. We do not have any of those books. Now, which books of accounts they are required to be maintained? We have to maintain such books of accounts which would enable the assessing officer to keep to compute the taxable income. So those books of accounts are required to be maintained. So this is the first thing that we need to keep in mind when we talk about 44AA. Now we go to 44AB very quickly. 44AB goes this way: every person carrying on a business. Now clause A, every person carrying on a business. Clause B, every person carrying on profession. So as I mentioned in the beginning, that unlike 44AA, where the distinction is between specified profession as one category and business plus non-specified profession as the other category, similarly here in 44AB, the distinction is every person carrying on a business and every person carrying on a profession. Now, why this distinction becomes and why I'm emphasizing on this is because now when I go to section 44AD, which is the heart of today's discussion, we need to discuss this 44AD, and section 44AD subsection 1 says that notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in section 28 to 43C, in case of an eligible assessee engaged in an eligible business, a sum equal to 8% of the total turnover or gross receipts of the assessee in the previous year on account of such business as the case may be, a sum higher than the aforesaid sum claimed to have been earned by the eligible assessee shall be deemed to be the profits engaged. Now, if we refer this, they say that in case of an eligible assessee engaged in eligible business. So the first thing that is relevant and the first thing which we should keep in mind is 44AD would be applicable only if I'm an eligible assessee doing eligible business. So if I am carrying out an activity which is not a business, then I am straightway outside 44AD. Meaning thereby, see, the reason behind emphasizing 44AA and AB and more precisely the profession and specified profession was very clear, that the lawmakers are very specific while using the terminology business, profession, specified profession, non-specified profession, etc., etc., etc. Meaning thereby in 4480 they have used the word eligible business. So if I am carrying out an activity which is not a business, then apparently I am outside 4480. Straightway I am outside 4480. Then the 4480 will not be applicable to me. So first of all, it has to be a business. If this activity is not falling in a category, if the activity is falling in a category of business, then there will be a next question. That activity which we treat it as a business has to be an eligible business. Now, what do we mean by eligible business? They have given the definition of eligible business and they say that any business except the business of plying, hiring, leasing of goods carried referred to in 44A. So if we are covered up under 44A, it will not be covered, and whose turnover or gross receipts in the previous year does not exceed an amount of rupees 2 crore rupees. Of course, there is one amendment by Finance Act 2023. I am right now restricting myself here. Meaning thereby, if the activity, so now let us take an example. If you are doing an activity which is a profession, so let's take an example, teaching. Teaching is a profession. Let's take an example. Let's take an example, an event manager. Event management, let's say that is a profession, an activity which involves, now that leads towards the question, what is a business and what is a profession? Business means trade, commerce, or manufacture, or adventure in the nature of trade, commerce, and manufacturing. If we talk about profession, they say that profession includes vocation. Now the word profession is not effectively defined. Courts have held in number of cases that profession is one which requires execution of a task involving mental skills, or where the mental skills are predominating factor or predominating requirement in execution of a task, or you can say intellectual skills, and that intellectual skills are acquired through a process, through and am I audible, or the things have become blur? I mean, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, actually, my screen has gone blur. I don't know. I mean, the my photograph on the screen. So that's why I posed this question. Anyway,
It's okay now.
okay, fair, no problems, no problems. So if I am carrying on an activity, so let's take an example. Mr. X is a chartered accountant, but he is not in practice. A chartered accountant in practice is certainly a specified profession. But let's say Mr. X is a chartered accountant. He is a thorough academician. He is involved in academics only. He has not taken his certificate of practice. He is in academics only. He is delivering lectures at various places. So basically, delivering a lecture is a profession, because his activity, that is delivering a talk, requires intellectual skill or requires some knowledge, and that knowledge is backed by a degree. So certainly it is a profession. Now that income will not fall under section 44AD. Why? Because it is a profession. Now please mind it, 44AA1 gives a list of a specified profession. So if that activity, if we go to a list again, that legal, medical, engineering, architectural, interior decoration, right? So, or the profession of accountancy. So now this particular list nowhere includes a teaching profession. In that particular category, if we refer now, then definitely one can take a call that to a teacher, 44ADA will not be applicable because it is not a specified profession. 44AD will not be applicable because he is carrying on a profession which is not at all a business. And 44AD is applicable only to an eligible business. Now, if I go to, and that's why now in his case, if we decide whether let's say he has delivered a lecture, and by delivering a lecture, he has earned an income of, he has achieved a turnover of, let's say, 40 lakhs of rupees. Now, in his case, whether books of accounts are required to be maintained, audit is required to be done or not. So obviously, you would say that his case would now fall in 44AA2, because every person getting on a business, including non-specified profession, so that is being covered by 44AA2. 44AA2 says that boss, अगर आपके केस में अगर आप बिजनेस या नॉन स्पेसिफाइड प्रोफेशन में हो, और अगर आप इंडिविजुअल या एचयूएफ हो, तो या तो आपकी 3 साल में से किसी एक साल की इनकम 2.5 लाख से ऊपर गई है, या तो फिर आपका टर्नओवर जो है वो 25 लाख से ऊपर गया हुआ है 3 में से किसी एक साल में, तो आपको अकाउंट्स मेंटेन करने पड़ेंगे. अगर आपका गया हुआ है या आप नया बिजनेस कर रहे हो, नया प्रोफेशन है, और इट इज लाइकली टू एक्सीड, हाँ अगर, तो हमारे केस में तो ये 25 की जगह 30 लाख है ऑब्वियसली. सो बेसिकली वी हैव टू गो एंड मेंटेन बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स, number 1. So that 44AA is covered. Now going to 44AB. 44AB clause A talks about every person carrying on business. 44, so I am not carrying on a business now, I am carrying on a profession. 44AB clause B says that every person carrying on a profession, yes, it is a profession. You have to get your books of accounts audited if the turnover exceeds 50 lakh. No, my turnover does not exceed 50 lakh, so I'm not supposed to get the books of accounts audited. So now the point is clear that if you are Mr. X, who is a chartered accountant, who is not in practice, who is exclusively into the teaching profession, so far as the teaching profession part is concerned, that 30 lakhs would be there. 30 lakhs is the turnover. सर आपको बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स मेंटेन करने पड़ेंगे, आपको ऑडिट करवाने की जरूरत नहीं, क्योंकि टर्नओवर नहीं बढ़ रहा है. अगर मान लो आपका टर्नओवर 80 लाख है एज्यूम करता हूं कि आप प्रोवाइजो में फॉल नहीं हो रहे हो, आपका टर्नओवर 80 लाख रुपए है, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस ऑब्वियसली यू वुड से दैट कि आपका टर्नओवर 80 लाख रुपए है, 44AB क्लॉज बी में आप फॉल हो गए, आपको जो है ऑडिट करवाना पड़ेगा, क्लॉज बी के अंतर्गत करवाना पड़ेगा, आपको 44AD अप्लाई नहीं होगा क्योंकि आप जो कर रहे हैं वो एलिजिबल बिजनेस ही नहीं, एलिजिबल बिजनेस तो बात की बात है। अब रूल 6F में जाते हैं दोबारा, जो ये कह रहा है कि फिल्म आर्टिस्ट जो है वो भी आपका स्पेसिफाइड प्रोफेशन है। अब उन्होंने फिल्म आर्टिस्ट की डेफिनेशन दी नीचे, अब वो क्या कहते हैं, वहां पर उन्होंने कहा कि फिल्म आर्टिस्ट जो है, नाउ दे डिफाइन इट दिस वाइज, film artist means any person engaged in his professional capacity in the profession of a cinematographic in the production of a cinematographic film, whether produced by him or by any other person, as actor, cameraman, director, including the assistant director. Then there is a big list given. I'm not going into the list, which includes, let's say, a singer. So now my question that comes is that Mr. X is a singer. If he is acting in a professional capacity in the production of a cinematographic film, and whether it is produced by himself or someone else, and over there he acts as a singer, in that particular case, certainly it is a specified profession. Now let's say the Navratri is approaching. We are inviting Falguni Pathak with due respect, right, to a particular organization, to a particular gathering. And now Falguni Pathak sings the Garba for us. The question that comes is, whatever payment that goes to her, would it be a business income or a profession income? So an activity, to my mind, has to be a profession, and within profession it would be a specified profession. So obviously if you are a singer, now singing requires some skill. Now not necessarily this particular skill that, let's say, a particular singer has acquired, that she might have got the skill from that she might have acquired the skill by undergoing a detailed training or detailed practice, or by doing some riyaz and the things, or she might have acquired the skill without taking a formal education or formal training. So whether the training is obtained formally or informally, but then she has got that skill of singing. The moment she has got the skill, or he has got the skill of singing, and then she performs at a particular Garba night or a particular event, whatever money that comes to her would be her professional income, and to her 44AD will not be applicable because it is a profession. It is not a business. So forget about that being an eligible business. 44ADA will not be applicable because it is not a specified profession. 44AA will not be, 44AA2 would be applicable because it is a business, coupled with business, including non-specified profession, because that she falls in a non-specified profession. So that's how the things would move around. So I hope when I talk about 44AD, the term eligible business, that term become clear to everybody. So eligible business means a business. So any business, so predominantly it has to be a business. That business should not be a 44A, and the second, that the business should not, the turnover should not exceed 2 crore rupees. Now that leads me towards another question, and which is very important one, whether when we talk about that the turnover of 2 crore rupees, whether this 2 crore should be inclusive of GST, or that 2 crore should be excluding GST. That is my first question on this. Now, obviously, there are various school of thoughts prevailing, and there are various views are being taken on this. I would rather take a view that Chaurangi Sales Bureau, Honorable Supreme Court, in the case of Chaurangi Sales Bureau, has very categorically provided that duties and taxes, if any amount is collected, credited by way of duties and taxes, now whether it is kept as a trading receipt, or whether it is whether it is kept in a separate books of account, or whether it is kept in a what you can say, it is clubbed with the turnover, effectively it makes no difference, and it would definitely be a part of I would say, a part of trading receipt only. So we have got a direct judgment on this point, and that judgment is in the case of the first judgment that we have is in the case of the Chaurangi Sales Bureau Private Limited, 1973. 1973 taxman.com, 151 Supreme Court. So there they have categorically said, I probably, sorry, it is 87 ITR 542 Supreme Court. I'm sorry. The Chaurangi Sales Bureau, 87 ITR 542. And that very judgment has been followed in the case of Plastic Product Engineering Company. So let me first deal with what Chaurangi Sales Bureau has to say. Chaurangi Sales Bureau says that where assessee realized sales tax in respect of sales affected by it, even though assessee credited this amount separately in its account book under the head sales tax collection account, since the amount of sales tax was received by the assessee in its character as an auctioneer, it should be held to form part of its trading or business receipt. It has to be a part of. So now this very argument that one may forward an argument that I have kept it in a separate account like GST payable account, I have not credited this amount to my turnover or income account, but I have treated it as part of my GST payable account. It has never gone to profit and loss account. It has never gone to the profit and loss account. Despite that, Honorable Supreme Court has taken a view that even though you have credited this amount to a separate account, still it would be forming part of the trading receipt only. Similarly, I would also deal with one more. Similarly, I would deal with one more judgment. That is a Punjab Distilling Industries Limited, 1959, 35 ITR 519 Supreme Court. Here, the observation of the Supreme Court is very much relevant. So the amount which called the security deposit was actually a part of the consideration for the sale and therefore part of the price of what was sold, nor does it make any difference that the price of the bottles was entered in the general trading account while the so-called deposit was entered in a separate ledger termed as empty bottles return deposit account. For what was a consideration for the sale cannot cease to be so by being written up in the books of accounts in a particular manner. Now, this observation of the Supreme Court makes it very clear that simply because in your books of accounts you have treated this amount separately, since this amount you have treated separately in your books of accounts in a separate ledger, it will not mean that it is not a trading receipt. So my accounting entry will not be a decisive factor. And if I go to once again to the judgment of Chaurangi Sales Bureau now, again, they further say that it is the true nature and the quality of the receipt and not the head under which it is entered in the account books as would prove decisive. If a receipt is a trading receipt, the fact that it is not so shown in account books of the assessee would not prevent the assessing authority from treating it as a trading receipt. Moral of the story is that if my GST payable is credited separately to GST payable account will certainly not make any difference. I am well aware of the fact that recently there are few decisions wherein a view has been taken that the GST has not been considered for the purpose of computing income. Let me deal with those as well. That's a Delhi High Court judgment. It's case of Mitchell Drilling International Private Limited, 62 taxman.com 24. They say that for the purpose of computing presumptive income of the assessee under section 44 BB, Service tax collected by the assessee on the account paid to it for rendering the services is not included in the gross receipt in terms of section 44BB read with section 44BB1. Similarly, we have got a judgment in the case of the Kolkata Tribunal, that is Cathay Pacific Airways Limited 2022 142 taxman.com, that's Kolkata Tribunal. Service tax collected by the assessee on behalf of the central government in a fiduciary capacity would not fall in the definition of turnover to be considered for the deeming income under the presumptive tax under section 44A BBA and was to be excluded from gross receipts while computing the total income. Similarly, we have got a Raipur Tribunal. The Raipur Tribunal is not relevant here. So basically, these are the judgments available wherein a view has been taken. But then I will take one Gujarat High Court judgment again on a point, that is Plastic Products Engineering Company 2002 125 taxman 541. This judgment goes this wise. The facts of the case fairly fell from the principle enumerated in the Chaurangi Sales Bureau Private Limited. The principle fully governed the fact of the present case. The assessee has received the disputed amount described as excise duty, which he was otherwise entitled to collect as a part of sale price. Though by showing separately in the invoice from the buyers, the amount has been collected in no other character except as seller of the goods as part of the sale price, at the best subject to stipulation that in case of ultimately the liability of tax was not sustained, the amount collected as tax would be refundable. Therefore, the amount was a trading receipt, but the assessee might be entitled to deduction of the amount as and when it bore the character of expense as allowable trading expense. So thus it is very clear if we look at now the judgment of Chaurangi Sales Bureau and that the judgment of Gujarat High Court, wherein the view has categorically been taken that there's a categorical view has been taken that the moment you are recovering an amount as a duties and taxes as a seller, then it would form part of the trading receipt. So basically it would form part of the trading receipt and it would form part of the turnover. As a matter of fact, even if we refer ICDS 4, that is revenue recognition, as a matter of fact, if we refer section 145A, even in those all particular cases, certainly that the view comes is that this GST has to be included for the purpose of definition of turnover. So that is the precise thing which is required to be kept in mind so far as when we talk about turnover. Now again going back to section 44 AD. So please let me know how much time do we, I guess we have sufficient time. I have traveled, we still have 22 minutes around.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now again coming to 44 AD.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So coming to 44 AD, once again it says that notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in 28 to 43C in case of an eligible assessee engaged in eligible business. So the moment I am carrying on an activity which is an eligible business, so what constitutes eligible business we dealt with. Now the next is eligible assessee. So the two conditions which I am supposed to satisfy, that I am an eligible assessee and I should be doing an eligible business. Now let me take you to the definition of eligible assessee. I have to cross these two hurdles before I claim the benefit of eligible the 44 AD. Eligible assessee means an individual, Hindu undivided family or a partnership firm who is a resident. Meaning thereby the eligible assessee means a resident individual, resident HUF or resident partnership firm. Of course, when I say partnership firm, LLP will not be included here. So if the assessee is non-resident, the moment he is outside the definition of eligible assessee. If the assessee is not an individual HUF or a partnership firm, or let's for that moment, the eligible the assessee is an LLP, it will be outside. If the assessee is company, if the assessee is trust, it is going to be outside the purview of the definition of eligible assessee. So the assessee has to be a resident individual, resident into undivided family, or a resident firm. Of course, the firm shall not include the LLP. and who has not claimed deduction under section 10A, 10AA, 10B, 10BA or deduction under any provisions of chapter 6A under heading C, meaning thereby that 80, IA, IB, IC, ID and all those deductions they should not have claimed. So my precise point here is that to be considered as an eligible assessee, I need to establish that I am either a resident individual or a resident HUF or a resident partnership firm. The firm here does not include LLP. So either of this, and I am not claiming the benefit of 10A, 10A, 10AA and etc. and the specified deduction under Part C of Chapter 6A. The moment I cross this two hurdle, then I would be able to enter section 44 AD, because then I am not an eligible assessee. I am an eligible assessee doing an eligible business. One more hurdle I need to cross, and that is 4486. So even I need to cross this hurdle as well. What does 4486 provide now? 4486 says that the provisions of this section, notwithstanding anything contained in the foregoing provisions, shall not apply. Meaning thereby 4480 subsection 6 overrides any other thing. 4480 subsection 6 straightway overrides that the provisions of this section, notwithstanding anything contained in the foregoing provisions, shall not apply. Meaning thereby, irrespective of whatever has been stated in 125, the 4486 would prevail. The moment they say that a person is carrying on a profession as referred to in subsection 1, now it wouldn't be applicable to a person. They say that the provisions will not be applicable to a person. Now, which are the person? The resident individual who has entered in 4480. अगर आपको 4480 में एंटर होना है तो आप रेसिडेंट इंडिविजुअल होने चाहिए, रेसिडेंट एचयूएफ होने चाहिए, रेसिडेंट फर्म होने चाहिए. लेकिन अगर आप रेसिडेंट इंडिविजुअल हैं पर अगर आप 44AA1 वाले प्रोफेशन हैं तो भाई साहब माफ कीजिएगा, आपको 4480 अप्लाई नहीं होगा. अगर आप रेसिडेंट इंडिविजुअल है पर अगर इफ यू आर अर्निंग इनकम इन द नेचर ऑफ कमीशन, अगर आप रेसिडेंट इंडिविजुअल है बट इफ यू आर कैरिंग ऑन एन एजेंसी बिजनेस, तो आपको 4480 एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. मतलब इनका कहने का तात्पर्य यह है कि 4480 will not be applicable, the entire section will not be applicable. The meaning thereby, even though let's say I am doing a kirana business or I am doing a trading in chemicals, even though I am carrying out a trading in chemical is certainly a business. It is certainly not a business which is covered under 44A. It is certainly a business, let's say, wherein my turnover is not exceeding 2 crore. Let's further add to this. Let's say that it is certainly, let's say that I am not carrying out any profession. Now, let's say I have got a commission income of 1 lakh. Now that commission income, I might tax under income from other source, or I might tax under the profits and gains of business profession. Makes really no difference. The point is, the moment I have got a commission income, I will be thrown out of 4480. This is the section 4480 is not applicable to you. 4480 will not be applicable to me the moment I would say the moment I would say that I am covered by 4486. The moment I have got a commission income, I am out of it. Now a question that precisely comes over here is that, let's say I am into a chemical business. I have a commission income which pertains to financial year 23-24, but I have not received it. But it is pertaining to this year. It is crystallized in the financial year 23-24 itself. So it is receivable now. Even though the income is receivable or it is actually received, the moment you are having commission income, you are outside 4480. 4480 के subsection 1 से subsection 5 आपको applicable नहीं होंगे. That is a crucial point. So let us take an example now that Mr. X is a doctor. Mr. X is a doctor. Now let's take an example. Sorry. Sorry, just 1 second. My apologies. Sorry. So basically, now let's take an example. Mr. X is a doctor. He is in practice. Now he has burnt his fingers in the F&O and he has got losses. Now the question that would come is that whether 4480 would be applicable to him or not. If he is in practice as a doctor, he has burnt his finger in F&O, obviously to him 44AB will not be applicable. Why? Because 4486 would come. Now if we go one by one, how do we conclude this? 4480 is applicable to an eligible assessee carrying on eligible business. Let's see whether the gentleman is whether the business is eligible business or not. We are testing what activity? F&O activity, right? So F&O means if you should be doing any business. So obviously the F&O is a business. Now this F&O business, it is not a business referred to in 44A. It is, let's say, a business where the turnover does not exceed 2 crore rupees. So yes, it is an eligible business. Now whether the Dr. Saab is eligible assessee, assuming that the Dr. Saab is resident and he is individual, so yes, he is eligible assessee, assuming that he is not claiming the deduction under the specified sections. Yes, he is resident individual, so he gets an entry in 4480. Once he is getting entry in 4480, the 4486 will say, wait, first cross, now me, first you deal with me. Though I am numbered last in the section, but then logically you have to deal with me. Everyone would say go to 6, because I would say that ऊपर से क्या हुआ है, लेना देना नहीं है, you attend to me, you look at me, you first attend my point. Now 4480 subsection 6, what do 4480 subsection 6 would provide? Section 4480 subsection 6 says that the provisions of this section will not apply to a person carrying on a profession under section 44AA specified under section 44AA subsection 1, meaning thereby since I am carrying on a profession which is covered under 44AA subsection 1, 4480 will not be applicable to me. क्या मैं 44AA1 का specified profession कर रहा हूँ? The answer is yes. I am a doctor. I am practicing. If I am practicing as a doctor, in that case 44AA1 will not be applicable. Sorry, 4480 will not be applicable to me. If 4480 is not applicable to me, then I am not supposed to bother about whether मुझे वो F&O का जो मेरा लॉस है मुझे 8% दिखाना है नहीं दिखाना है, उसका एक झंझट से मैं पूरा बाहर आ गया, मुझे वो देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Similarly, let's take an example. There is a chartered accountant, burnt his fingers in F&O. The same would be a story. Let's take an example. Mr. X is a doctor, but then he is not in practice. He is working, employed with some hospital, getting a salary income. So now he is not a profession referred to in subsection 44AA1, because 44AA1 says the person carrying on a profession. So he is not carrying on any profession. He is working as a hospital, some doctor. But then if he says that I am working in a hospital doctor, but I am also doing my part-time practice, the moment if you are doing a practice, matter ends. Now, what should be the quantum? What should be the amount? They are not defined. Meaning thereby, that is what we need to know whether we are before entering into the provisions of section 44 before deciding whether 44AA is applicable to me or not. Once having discussed that the 44AA is decided, 44 once having now clarified that 4480 is applicable to me because I have crossed all hurdles. So what are the hurdles that I am supposed to cross? If we deal with each hurdle now, the activity has to be an eligible business. Yes, let us assume that I'm doing an activity which is an eligible business. Number 2, I am an eligible assessee. Number 3, I am not covered by the 44AA1, or I am not carrying on agency business, or I am not getting a commission income. So in that particular case, yes, now you are absolutely good to go with 4480. Now you are eligible assessee. I mean, you are completely eligible to go for 4480. Now let us assume a case that in case of a gentleman, let's say, now, okay, before I proceed further, let me deal with one important issue first. Number of times, the client come up for a query, or number of times I receive a query from sometimes, some chartered accountants as well, that कि assessment हुआ है और मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में कुछ कैश डिपॉजिट है और डेबिट भी है, क्रेडिट भी है, सब कुछ है, तो अल्टीमेटली क्रेडिट भले 1 करोड़ रुपए अलग अलग तारीखों में हुआ है, लेकिन वो कैश विड्रॉल भी है, सामने खर्चे भी पड़े हुए हैं, सब कुछ हुआ है। एंड ऑफ द डे मेरे अकाउंट में केवल 4-5 लाख रुपए बचे हुए हैं। क्या मैं ये बोल सकता हूं कि सर मेरा असेसमेंट है, मैंने रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करा, मुझे 4480 में ले लीजिए, 1 करोड़ का टर्नओवर दिखा रहा हूं, 8% आप ले लो, दिक्कत नहीं, 8 लाख रुपए का आप मुझे इनकम लगा दो, बात खत्म हो गई। क्या ये कहा जा सकता है? क्या ये आर्ग्यूमेंट ली जा सकती है? सर ये आप आर्ग्यूमेंट बिल्कुल ले सकते हैं, लेकिन आपके ऊपर ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि आपको ये प्रूव करना पड़ेगा कि जो 1 करोड़ रुपए आपके अकाउंट में अलग अलग तारीखों में जमा हुए हैं, वो जो है वो एलिजिबल बिजनेस के हैं, वो जो एक्टिविटी है वो एलिजिबल बिजनेस एक्टिविटी है। तो आपको कोई ना कोई प्रूफ देना पड़ेगा। सम डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंसेस इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी एस्टैब्लिश्ड, or some documentary evidences is to be produced by you to establish that you are carrying out an activity which is an eligible business, and the amount which is credited to your bank account, it reflects the receipts from that eligible business. So that would be your responsibility. So let's take an example. Let's say you are doing you are claiming that I'm selling shoes, I'm selling garments. You should have something to establish that, see, I'm doing this business from this particular location, I am registered under Shop and Establishment Act, or see that I have, this is my rent agreement where from where I can establish that I'm carrying on this particular business, this is the photograph from where I'm carrying on this particular business. Something you need to establish, and then you can say that whatever amount is credited in my books of account is indicates my collection from the business, they all are my business receipts, they are my trading receipts. Let's say this trading receipt is 1 crore rupees, 8 lakh is the 8% is what the income that minimum I should offer, I am offering 8 lakhs of rupees, you complete the assessment by 8%. You need to prove minimum that you are doing an activity which is an eligible business, or whatever money that has come to your books of accounts, that is going to be an eligible, that activity is eligible business. And second, you are an eligible assessee, that you are resident, you are individual, you are not covered by 4486, you don't have anything like commission, आपके 26 years में कोई commission नाम की चीज नहीं बोल रही है, कमीशन का कोई पैसा आपको आया नहीं है, आप कोई एजेंसी का बिजनेस कर नहीं रहे हैं, और आप 44AA1 में गवर्न नहीं है. So you need to prove this. Once you do this, and once you establish that, see, this is my statement, whatever amount is credited is my trading receipt, I am doing a business of sale of garments, I am doing a business of pani puri wala, I am doing a business, I'm selling bhajia, whatever that you want to claim, you can claim. But the point is, you have to prove that you are actually selling bhajia. I don't say you claim that you are selling bhajia, but I'm just giving you an example that you are doing that particular activity. You have to prove first. Activity. How can you prove that? There are a number of bill of your shop. You can have your registration in Shop and Establishment Act. Since your turnover is 1 crore rupees, obviously you might be registered under GST. You have got some GST registration over there. Some document. You can say that, sir, I am purchasing goods from this my 5 vendors. You can use the affidavits of those 5 vendors that, see, I'm regularly, this gentleman is regularly purchasing goods from me. This is the books of, this is the copy of his ledger account that that indicates that he has purchased the various goods from me on various dates. So any such documents, the more number of documents you can prove, that is important. You can also give the affidavit of, your neighbor, the adjoining shopkeepers who can say that he is doing this particular activity. You can also say that, sir, please carry out spot verification. At spot verification, you will find my this particular shop. That would also be sufficient. If you are listed on Amazon or Flipkart, and you are supplying goods over there, you can say that, see, I'm listed on Amazon, on Flipkart. You need to prove first that you are an eligible assessee doing an eligible business, and that the activity, the amount which has come, it indicating eligible business, that should come on record. What is your duty? Your duty is to establish that this 1 crore rupee, this is my trading receipt. Now the turnover you can justify either way, either by way of putting your what you can submit, that your bill book. You should have your bill book to say that this is my turnover, or you can say that I am offering my turnover on cash basis. So turnover can be on mercantile, turnover can be on cash basis. What is turnover on cash basis? Whatever money has been credited to my bank account, that is my turnover on cash basis, and that would be my, that I would say that would be my you can say that is going to be my turnover जो मेरे बुक्स में क्रेडिट हुआ है. आप ये भी कह सकते हो कि नहीं, मैं टर्नओवर मर्केंटाइल बेसिस पे बता रहा हूँ, जो क्रेडिट हुआ है वो छोड़ दो, बिल बुक है, ये मेरा बिल बुक है, बिल बुक से मैं बता रहा हूँ, दिस इज व्हाट बिल्स आई हैव रेज्ड. सो व्हाटएवर बिल्स दैट आई हैव रेज्ड, द टोटल दैट बिकम्स माय टर्नओवर. Your turnover could be anything. Now this is how you can establish your turnover. It is your duty to establish that this is the turnover. कई बार ये हो सकता है कि बुक्स में 1 करोड़ रुपया क्रेडिट हुआ है, बोल रहे हो कि मेरा टर्नओवर 80 लाख रुपया बिकॉज द 20 lakh is something unsecured loan that I have received. So in that particular case, it is your duty to provide that this 20 lakh is an unsecured loan and this has come from the base payment, and section 4480 is not subject to 68. So if you are unable to establish that this 20 lakhs of rupees is an unsecured loan, and if you fail to satisfy the ingredients of section 68, there can very well be an addition under section 68 for the 20 lakhs of rupees. Correct? So that is the duty cast upon the assessee. Once now I go to section, now having discussed this issue which normally comes in the assessment, now let me deal with one more thing. Now let's say that we take a case. Somebody is into the chemical trading business. He is coming to the advice of a chartered accountant, coming for the advice of the chartered accountant. That's what should I do? This is my chemical business. Okay. I am a resident individual. Fair. I am not claiming benefit of any of the specified sections. Okay, good. So you are an eligible assessee. You are dealing into the chemical manufacturing or trading into chemical. Okay, it is eligible business. Your turnover is 1 crore 20 lakhs of rupees. Very good. So basically it is below 2 crore rupees. Now you are not covered by 4486. Good. So now you are into 4480. Now that comes a question, क्या अब मुझे ये facts मेरे सामने हैं? Now क्या अब मुझे mandatory 8% दिखाना पड़ेगा? मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है. So sir, now I would raise a question that wait for a minute. हमने 6 पढ़ा है, अब हमें 4 और 5 पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Just give me a second. The battery is low. I need to connect the charger. Just give me a second. All right. So yes. So basically, now 4484 or 5 padna padega. Now look at section 4484 and 5, which are really crucial, which is really important here. Now, what does 4484 says that? When an eligible, I'm reading 4 first and then I will go to 5. Now, 4th language is very important. When an eligible assessee declares profit for any assessment year in accordance with the provision of this section, and he declares profit for any of the 5 assessment year relevant to previous year succeeding such previous year not in accordance with the provisions of subsection 1. Now this is very crucial and important, and please note this. 4480 subsection 4, it says that when an eligible assessee declares profit for any previous year in accordance with the provisions of this section, and he declares the profit for any 5 assessment year relevant to the previous year succeeding such previous year not in accordance with the provisions of this section, meaning thereby 4480 makes it very 4480 makes it very 4484 makes it very clear that कि अगर आप 4481 में फॉल हो रहे हैं, सॉरी, अगर आपने किसी भी साल में 4480 का लाभ लिया है और अब जाके आप मना कर रहे हैं, तो in that particular situation, in that particular case, in that particular scenario, sir, 4484 would be applicable. तो आपको 5 साल तक दिखाना पड़ेगा, मतलब वो 5 साल वाली बात तब आएगी. लेकिन अगर मैं ये कहूं कि सर मैंने कभी 4480 का लाभ लिया ही नहीं है, in that particular case 4480 will have no applicability, meaning thereby in my example I have to raise a first question that sir, you are doing a chemical manufacturing business, you are eligible assessee doing eligible business, this is the first year of your business. My question is, this is आपने कभी चांस ही नहीं लिया है, तो 4484 has no applicability. When 4484 is not applicable, 5 will automatically become inapplicable. So my question here is that sir, ये आपका पहला साल आपको पूछा जा रहा है whether you want to opt for 4480 or not. You want to opt it for 4480, please go and take it. You don't want to opt 4480, then drop it. So if he says I want to opt 4480, तब तो सर आप 1 करोड़ 20 लाख रुपए, 2 करोड़ से अंदर 1 करोड़ 20 लाख रुपए 8% आपको मिनिमम दिखाना पड़ेगा, आपके पास कोई विकल्प नहीं है. और एक बार आपने मिनिमम 8% दिखाया, अब आप 8% उससे ज्यादा तो आपको ज्यादा दिखाना है। अगर आपने 8% या उससे ज्यादा एक बार दिखा दिया, अब बात खत्म। अब 5 साल तक आपको 4480 के अंदर रहना पड़ेगा, उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। फिर छठे साल में पूछा जाएगा क्या करना है। लेकिन अगर आप बोलेंगे पहला साल है और आप बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं मुझे 4480 को ऑप्ट करना नहीं है, तो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस 4482 में आप फॉलो हो रहे हैं। वहां पर क्या कहा, अगर आप इंडिविजुअल है तो बुक्स 25 लाख से ऊपर का टर्नओवर है तो बुक्स मेंटेन करने पड़ेंगे, तो आप 25 से ऊपर का टर्नओवर है आपको बुक्स मेंटेन करना है। वेरी गुड। अब आगे चलते हैं एक स्टेप। 44AB क्या बोल रहा है, ऑडिट करवाना पड़ेगा बिजनेस है तो। कब करवाना पड़ेगा, अगर टर्नओवर 1 करोड़ से ऊपर जा रहा है तो। बट देन देयर इज अ प्रोवाइजो. What does the proviso talk about? If you fall in that proviso, then the limit is 10 crore. Assuming that you fall in the proviso, in that case, audit is not required under 44AB. Your limit is 1 crore, your turnover is 1 crore 20 lakhs. Just maintain books of accounts, cruise through comfortably. And your due date of filing return may be now 31st of July. But if you say that my turnover is 1 crore 20 lakhs, I don't satisfy the condition given in the proviso to 44AB, then your limit for audit is 1 crore rupees. If the limit of audit is, let's say, 1 crore rupees, then you are crossing that 1 crore 20 lakh, 1 crore turnover, because your turnover is 1 crore 20. You have to maintain the books, you have to get the books of accounts audited, and that would be under 44AB clause A. Here, your books of account is required to be audited. So that is what is required to be kept in mind. Quickly, I am well aware that I am running short of time. So basically, quickly dealing with another issues. Whether 43B would be applicable now, section 28 is very much clear. The 44AD is very much clear, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in section 28 to 43C. So 43B very well falls within 43B. So 43 before 43C. So obviously, it overrides that. 43B will not be applicable. 40A3 will not be applicable. 40AIA will not be applicable to me. But please note that even if I have not deducted TDS, there may not be a disallowance, but the interest, penalty, prosecution, that all would follow, because there is no immunity from that. Let's say my turnover exceeds 1 crore rupees, because now in 194C, HIJ, they have changed the language. They have stated if the turnover exceeds 1 crore. The moment my turnover is in the chemical wala business 1 crore 20 lakh, next year I am supposed to deduct a TDS. Whether I go for 4480 or not, TDS is to be deducted. If I don't deduct TDS in the next year, and if I opt for 4480, certainly there will not be any disallowances. There will not be any disallowance of expense, because 40AIA is being covered by 28 to 43C. But in that particular case, the consequences of failure to deduct TDS, the other consequences, that is interest, that is penalty, prosecution, this all may follow, and that one has to be clear about this. One has to satisfy that there is a reasonable cause. Last is section 43CA. 43CA, we are aware of the situation that if I am selling land, there is a transfer of land or building which has been kept as an inventory. If they are sold at a price less than the Jantri value, then obviously the Jantri value would be deemed to be the consideration, and 43CA would be considered while computing turnover so far as section 44AD is concerned, because when you talk about turnover, it has to be including the deemed turnover. So 43CA would have a role to play. Now I am well aware that my time is over, and I would not step into the time which is allotted to my co-faculty, because of course the participants would be eager even to understand the nitty-gritties involved in section 43BH as well, because this is also equally important. So I am restricting myself here, and if you have any questions, I can quickly deal with those questions, and then I will hand over the dais to the organizers for the further proceedings. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. If anybody has any doubt, that can be dealt with now.
Yes, sir. Please. Sir, we have already given one, sir, login for raising the questions, sir. And so we have received a number of questions. And just I have summarized some of the questions, sir, so which we would like to ask from you, sir. And they are as under. Between, sir, I would like to draw the attention of all the members who are just listening. The total number of registrations are more than 335. And even after having this very tight and last moment schedule, sir, number of members are taking benefit of your this webinar, sir. And one important announcement is that, sir, as it is being the 22nd of October is Gandhi Jayanti and it is our national holiday, there is no seminar or schedule is there from our ICAI. So please take note of that. So all the members are just drawn the attention of the same. And now, sir, a few of our members, because
Yes,
all the
sir.
members are, sir, registered and appearing from all over the country. So one of member
Correct.
from Bangalore is there, sir. Mr.
Yeah.
Ashwani Kumar Gupta. Sir, he is
Mhm.
asking that whether under section 44 ADA, one claim 50% deduction or it is up to 50%. Whether assessing officer can ask for details of expenditure claimed at 50% or up to 50%. There are no provision for books of accounts maintenance under Income Tax Act when deduction under section 44 ADA, but under GST books of accounts are required to be maintained. So what are your views, sir? Please put your enlighten us.
I am not clear with the question. I'm trying to reframe
Sir,
the question.
Sir, Mr. Aswinji have coupled up the questions. The first one is whether under section 44 AD, one can claim 50% deduction or it is up to 50%.
So basically, 44 ADA probably is asking about where
Yeah,
there is a
ADA.
requirement of 50%. Yes. So basically, section 44 ADA says that if your turnover, 44 ADA provides that if you do not want to maintain books of accounts, then we would presume that 50% is the income. Now, please mind it, 44 AD, 44 ADA, they both operate in the favor of revenue. They are not operating in the favor of assessing. So the moment we say that I am opting for 44 ADA, minimum of 50% is what I need to offer to tax. That is point number A. Or such higher sum as I have actually earned. So let's say my receipts are 30 lakhs of rupees, or let's say my receipt, my professional receipt is 40 lakhs of rupees. I have a professional receipt of 40 lakhs of receipt, minimum 20 lakhs I'll have to offer. That is point number one. That is very clear. Now, the 20 lakh I have to offer as an income. That is the first thing that is very clear. Second thing that comes is that can assessing officer raise a question? Now, let us say that we cannot say assessing officers' hands are completely tied up and they cannot ask any question because I opted for 44 ADA. Once I opted for 44 88, if I say that, sir, please look at my bank statement. My bank statement has total credits of 40 lakhs of rupees and I have not maintained any books of accounts. If that is the case, I have not maintained any books of accounts and my turnover is 40 lakhs of rupees. So now I have offered 20 lakhs in matter ends. Now AO has called for a bank statement. I have justified this 40 lakhs, giving the details of that my professional fee, so far so good. But then when he talks about debits, let's say my debits are only 8 lakhs of rupees or let's say 10 lakhs of rupees. Now we cannot say that the AO cannot raise a question that, sir, you are claiming your expenditure to be 20 lakhs of, you are claiming your income to be only 20 lakhs of rupees. But then I cannot see anything which is debited in your books of account which is just 20 lakhs of rupees, something like 20 lakh has been debited to your books of account. So my books of account has a debit of only 10 lakhs of rupees. Certainly it would invite a question and certainly it would have an addition that you are offering 4480. So you cannot escape by saying that I have earned only 20 lakhs of rupees, which as a matter of fact, which is very apparent and clear that you have earned 30 lakhs of rupees. As a matter of fact, please note that, let's say I'll take this question to a next level. Let's say in the next year, your turnover turned out to be 90 lakhs of rupees. Let's say the profession grows. Profession of a chartered accountant grows and the turnover now turned out to be 90 lakhs of rupees. Now you have to get the books of accounts audited. When you want to get the books of accounts audited, you have to have your bank statement. What would be your opening balance? As a bank balance, your bank balance will be 30 lakhs of rupees because last year turnover was 40 lakhs. Only debit was 10 lakh. So the closing balance was 30 lakh. You have said that my income is only 20 lakhs. So obviously there is an unexplained investment of 10 lakhs of rupees. If that issue would come up, we will be taken up for that section 68 9AB that series and 11 by BBE controversy would come up. So it is advisable that if you have earned an income which is higher than that amount, obviously you should offer that income to avoid the nitty-gritty. Now let me also add to this controversy that there can be a different situation as well. Let's say that my receipt is 40 lakhs. Now if I look at my bank statement, there are various expenses, because let's say there was a wedding in my family. So obviously I have debited, let's say 25 lakhs of rupees were debited to my bank account because it was for a wedding purposes. It could be for any purposes, maybe for a wedding purposes, maybe for honeymoon purposes, maybe for photography purposes. By any nomenclature, I have debited that amount. Now it includes my household expenses as well. Now my balance is 15 lakhs of rupees, closing balance is 15 lakhs. Now I say that I have earned 20 lakhs of rupees as my income. My income is 20 lakhs. Now AO looks for the bank statement. He says कि साहब ये 40 लाख रुपए कौन सी चीज के? मैंने बोला कि मेरा मुझे जस्टिफाई करना था, मैं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूँ, ये देख लो मेरा सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस आया, मेरा प्रैक्टिस 40 लाख रुपए मेरा टर्नओवर है, मैंने दिखा दिया, मेरा जीएसटी का जो रिटर्न जा रहा है. फॉर मी लेट मी मेक इट वेरी क्लियर, जीएसटी दिल में आता है, समझ में नहीं आता. So I am not in GST, but I have limited knowledge which I have. So far as GST is concerned, I would say that कि GST के मेरे रिटर्न में 40 लाख रुपए का टर्नओवर हो, मैंने 40 लाख का मेरा रिसीट से मैंने आपको रिकंसाइल करवा दिया. अब जो आप पूछ रहे हो खर्चों के बारे में, मैंने बुक्स रखे नहीं है, तो मुझे पता नहीं है वो क्या है, लेकिन है सारे बिजनेस के पर्सनल खर्चे वही है. तो मेरे पास अभी वो डिटेल, वो ब्यौरा मेरे पास नहीं है, क्योंकि मैं वो रखने के लिए बाध्य नहीं हूं. और क्योंकि मैंने बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स रखे नहीं है, तो मुझे नहीं पता मेरा प्रॉफिट क्या है. तो मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि जो 50% प्रॉफिट है वही मेरा प्रॉफिट है, तो वो मेरा 50% हो गया. अब मैंने 20 लाख बताए. अब यहाँ पर असेसिंग ऑफिसर के पास दिक्कत है. अब यहाँ पर असेसिंग ऑफिसर को अगर एडिशन करना है तो मुश्किलें हो जाएंगी, क्योंकि मेरे बैंक स्टेटमेंट में वैसे भी मेरी इनकम 15 लाख रुपए है. पर उसी बैंक स्टेटमेंट को अगर मान लो उसे छाटा और उसने बताया कि सर टोटल क्रेडिट्स इन योर बैंक स्टेटमेंट इज 40 lakhs of rupees, you are saying that 25 lakhs have been debited on a various dates, but out of this 25 lakhs which has been debited on a various dates, one entry is that of 14 lakhs of rupees which you have transferred to your mother's account, and that with which you are claiming it to be a gift. So now out of 25 lakhs of rupees which you have debited, the 14 lakh is very clear which has gone to your mother's account. It is not your professional expense. It is gone to a mother's account. It is a gift. So out of 25, 14 lakh gone, 11 lakh is what is left out as an expense. Even if I assume that entire 11 lakh is a business expenses, then also 14 minus 11, what is left out is 29. You should have offered minimum income of 29 lakhs rupees. I assume that you have survived by eating air. Nothing has gone for household expense. Still 20 lakh. So that issue would come. So when you are claiming 20 lakh, please make sure that you have adequate evidences to establish that your income is 20 lakhs of rupees. So make a total of debit side. Out of the total of debits, of the total expenses which you have incurred, see to it that what expenses are not pertaining to the business, which are apparently visible. Take them out. See to it that, and then you can say that, sir, I have not maintained books of accounts. My turnover is 40 lakh. 50% turned out to be, let's say, 20 lakhs of rupees. So I offer my income. Let us say 25 lakhs of rupees. How do I come at 25 lakhs of rupees? Because 40 lakh is my turnover. 25 lakh appear to be my expenditure, but out of 25 lakh expenditure I have appeared, 10 lakh is what has gone to my mother's account, which is not a business expense. So now it is left out is 15 lakh. So 14 minus 15, 40 minus 15, that is 25 lakhs. So I offer this 25 lakh as my business income. Or you can say that I offer, let's say, 28 lakh as my business income. How come this 3 lakhs? Sir, it was for my household purposes. Might be I might have got some fees in cash, and that is now 28 lakhs of rupees. So now your case becomes a justifiable case. Your case becomes a defendable case, wherein you are explaining everything. Total credits 40 lakhs, total debits to the bank statement 25 lakhs, out of which 110 lakh is to the mother's account. This is a personal amount that has gone. So now only expenses 15 lakhs. So 40 minus 15 is 25 lakhs. So 25 lakh is my income. And 2-3 lakhs of rupees, as I mentioned, that might be I have received in cash. I assume that it is I have received this fees in cash, and then that is for my household purposes. Assuming you don't have any cash withdrawal for household purposes, and now if you are saying 28 lakhs of rupees, and you say that I cannot compute accurate amount, because I have not maintained books of account. So I am saying it to be 28 lakhs of rupees. Then it would, in my opinion, be something which is digestible to a particular assessing authorities, that okay, you are offering something which is more than 50%. Okay, that would be fair. और उसके बाद उसने मुझे किया 15 लाख का हिसाब, तो ये 50,000 किसको दिए? To whom you have paid this 1 lakh, to whom you have paid this 1,50,000 rupees. What is that 10,000 rupees? Sir, I don't have a detail of those particular expenses because I'm not supposed to give the detail. Yes, that would be, then you can cruise through that particular detail. I mean those particular questions, because then specific immunity has been granted in 28 to 43. B से आप C से आप बाहर. Yes, sir. Next,
Thank
I
you, sir.
hope.
Thank you. Sir, there are a number of questions, but sir, you have covered almost all the questions in the answer. So just I am summing up, sir, and almost then the everything remaining just yes and no, like that question. Sir, because you have already explained here, sir. So just I am considering it so that the members can understand that yes, yeah, they are also addressed. So the another question is that whether I need to maintain books of account under GST. So it is a different issue under GST, and GST don't require those what we are asking debiting here as income tax expenditure. So dear friend, in GST we need to prove just only GST related information or invoices. Then one another question that when I have filed under section 44 AD, and if any investment, higher investment is found, then can it be added under section 69? Of course, yes, sir. You have rightly explained that I need to explain them the total inflow and outflow and the total assets and liabilities. If anything goes higher side and it is exceeding my profit, it may be added to my income in income tax return under applicable sections. Whether the business enterprises show lesser profit in profit and loss account and then they file higher profit in presumptive taxation, yes, to save the scheme from assessment and all. So the section says like that. So this is also replied, sir. One thing, another question in 43BH, if the check is issued within 45 days, then if it get cleared after 90 days, within 90 days, it is allowed? Not allowed, sir, because it is already explained, and in the sheet also they are asking the date of clearance in bank. So here also it is not allowed. It should be cleared within 45 days. If I am selling goods, cloth in shop, my turnover is 85 lakhs. If I am selling goods, that is cloth, and my turnover is 85 lakhs. The question is not clear, sir. He is from Mumbai. Sir, I am selling goods, clothes from shop, but my turnover is 85 lakhs. So I don't know what he want to ask. So he might be asking whether he is applicable for 44 AD or not. Then, sir, Madurai, the question are same like that only, sir. So not an issue. So thank you very much, sir, for your very lucid and detailed explanation. And we hope that again we will listen, we will be able to listen you in a very short span of time, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for allowing me to present my views on this important topic. If I have said anything, if anybody has felt being hurt, I really convey my apologies for that.
Thank you, sir. Not at all, sir. We just love you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
If possible, give me the screenshots of this, some of the events, if that is comfortable to you.
Definitely, sir. And please share the presentation also so that we can share to our members, sir.
So
There was
actually,
no presentation.
I just read it from the act itself. So
Yeah,
there was no PPT. Akshat was asking me. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And now here is for the other members. Just again, I am reminding that on the 2nd of October, due to the our Gandhi Jayanti as being the national holiday, we are not going to organize any seminar on this 2nd of October. So please keep it in mind. Now, sir, this is the time to go for the second session of our today's seminar. So let us go for that. 1 minute. Yes, sir. Yes, Tiwari sir, good morning, welcome.
नमस्कार, कैसे हैं सर?
बस all well, sir. After listening Jignesh bhai, now we are here to enrich our knowledge with the beautiful words of Anirudh Tiwari sir. Tiwari sir has worked in Big Four and especially in E&Y, and has is a very good speaker in the subject like bank audit and specialized in MSME and GST. So definitely we are going to enrich ourselves today like anything. He has rich industry experience in the field of goods and service tax, bank audit assignments, including statutory audit, branch audit, credit audit, revenue audit, stock and book date, and concurrent audit, limited review, BG audits. So, sir, the whole bank is present before us, sir. Anirudh sir, nice
So
to
let
meet you,
us
sir.
start the discussion on 43BH. Otherwise, my time
Uh,
is shorter.
yes. That is the very burning, sir. More around 350 members are registered, and just we are eager to listen you, sir. Please start the session and
Thank you so
enrich
much,
us.
Chavda ji, and thank you, Jignesh ji, as well, for putting so much energy and enlighten all the members who have joined here. And definitely, they have got to know what are the intricacies of this 44 AD, what are the challenges, and how to deal with this. So, thank you so much, sir, for putting the theme here. And now it's my part. So, I have to discuss about 43BH. So before going to deal with this 43BH, first we need to understand what exactly this 43B. Is it the new baby, or it was already there in the law which we were dealing with? So my dear friends, it was already there and we all were dealing with this. So 43B says that whatever expenditure you claims in your profit and loss account, that will be allowed based on the actual payment basis. We all know that yes, it is allowed on the actual payment basis, but there is one lacuna, you can say. So if the expenses payable was not paid, the creditors were not paid, or whatever provisions you have made, if that was not paid as on 31st of March, but the same has been paid on or before the due date of filing of your ITR, then that expenses was allowed. And you have already claimed that deduction and income tax benefit was there. So there was no issue at all before, because we all know we have 6 months. So anyhow, we can pay before 30th of September. But now it's really a very challenging situation we all are facing, being auditor or being auditee. So considering the 30th September as a tax audit, we all know that in clause 22, we have to disclose what exactly the disallowances are with respect to the interest and with respect to the deduction of creditors which are not paid and payable for the beyond prescribed days, which are mentioned under section 15 of MSMED Act. So before understanding and deep diving into this, we should first understand the detail of MSME. Whether this clause is applicable to all micro, small, and medium enterprises, whether this is applicable to the traders as well, that if I have purchased some goods from a trader and not paid for 60 days or 70 days or 90 days, and that are standing as on 31st of March. So is this be disallowed or not? Or can we claim the benefit of these expenses? We need to discuss this. Then if there is any depreciation of any asset against which creditor is standing, but we have not paid as on 31st of March, and that is standing for more than 60 days, let's say. So is it allowed or not? We have to deal with this again. Then one more thing, if we have some opening creditors, meaning thereby if I have some opening balances of creditor as on 1st of April, and these creditors are still standing as a credit closing balances as on 31st of March 2024. So should we disallow the expenses against this creditor or not? So we have to understand this as well. So before discussing these issues, first we should understand the definition and the coverage of the MSMED Act. What are the applicability, where it impacts, to whom we should report and disclose. All these things we need to discuss. So let us discuss one by one. So first we'll understand the definition of MSME. I'll be putting my eyes on the chat box as well. So if anybody want to answer this question, so you can very well reply me on the chat box as well. So can anybody tell me the definition? What are the threshold for this MSME? 50 crore, 250 crore, 150 crore, 10 crore, lot of numbers are there. So my dear friends, earlier two separate thresholds was there. one for the manufacturing industry, and another was for the service industry. And three classes are with us. One is micro, then small, and then medium enterprises. But when the definition got changed and amendment took place, this manufacturing and service sector has been clubbed together. Now we have to see similar, or we can say the same threshold for both the industry, for manufacturing or services. Earlier only investment criteria was there, but now we have two criteria. One is investment, another is turnover. So we have to see whether we are fulfilling both the criteria of investment and turnover, or any one criteria we are fulfilling. So we have to see if we are checking for the micro enterprises. So we have to verify the investment criteria, that is up to 1 crore, and the turnover criteria, that is 5 times of investment. You can say it's a 5 crore. So if we have investment up to 1 crore and turnover up to 5 crore, then your industry will be classified in the category of micro enterprises. But what if I have the investment more than 1 crore, but less than 10 crore? In that case, you will be upgraded to the upper category of small enterprises. So for small enterprises, we have definition of investment threshold up to 10 crore and turnover up to 50 crore. Likewise, if we have the investment of more than 10 crore, but up to 50 crore, and turnover more than 50 crore, but up to 250 crore, then you will be classified under the category of medium enterprises. So my dear friends, if you are going to audit or you are auditing any entity, so you should keep this in mind, what exactly the threshold are. And based on this threshold, whether the MSME certificate, or you can say Udyam registration certificate, which you have for your verification, is correct or not. If you know the threshold, only then you can validate whether this certificate is valid or correct or not. With respect to the turnover, the export of goods and services are excluded. So when you calculate the threshold of this 250 crore or 50 crore or 5 crore for micro, small and medium enterprises, you will exclude the turnover of export of goods and export of services. So let's say I have a turnover of 260 crore, but out of that 15 crore is of export. Then still I'm eligible to get the MSME certificate, because excluding these export turnover, I will be within the limit of this medium enterprises threshold. Apart from this, one more thing you need to take care of about the investment. When you are taking the value of your plant and machinery, so the value would be WDV, whether it could be the first hand machinery or second hand machinery, whatever the purchase rate. And if you are looking for the existing unit who has taken the MSME registration, for that case, the last declared WDV value in the income tax return will prevail, and that will be used for the calculation of this investment value. Apart from this, if we have put on some investment in the R&D or pollution equipment like things, so that amount of investment will be excluded from the total investment in the plant and machinery. The remaining amount will be considered for this threshold limits. So this is something which you need to keep in mind while treating any entity as a micro, small or medium enterprises. Now, what this MSMED Act says, we know about the entity, what entities are into the micro category, what are in the small category, what are in the medium category. So we have to read one very small act that is called the MSMED Act. That MSMED Act is very small, around 15 pages law only. And out of the total law, you have to read 5 to 6 sections only. It's in the chapter 5, where you see Section 15 of MSMED Act, that talks about the delays payment to the MSME. This is the actual challenge which we all are facing. The liability or renders any services to any buyer, the buyer shall make payment thereof on or before the date agreed upon between him and the supplier in writing. Or in case there is no agreement in this behalf, then before the appointment date. So this section 15 says, if you have agreement, then you have to clear the liability on or before that agreed date. But that agreed date cannot exceed the 45 days. So you can agree between for 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 45 days. But it cannot be 60 days. It cannot be 90 days. Some of your client will definitely tell you, sir, I have agreement and my party is saying that I don't want any kind of interest. So it should not be provisioned for. Why to make provision if my party is not taking it? No, sir. It's law and you will have to provide it in your books of account and while preparing the financial statement. Further, you cannot make any agreement for the dues which exceeds 45 days, meaning thereby 45 days are the last days, top days. You cannot exceed, you cannot go beyond that. Then second section, section 16, that talks about the date from which the interest is to be charged and rate at which this interest is to be charged. So where interest will be levied if on or before due date we have not made the payment of my liability, we have not cleared the liability, then after the appointment date means the next day of this due date. So from that day to the date of payment, you have to give the interest. At what rate? At the rate of bank rate, you will have to multiply it by 3. That means 3 times of bank rate compounded monthly. This is the big challenge. So compounded monthly, you have to give this interest amount as against the liability of these MSME creditors. Then moving further, I have replied you 2 questions. One is if my party is saying that I don't want interest, then also we have to pay or we have to make provision. Yes, you will have to make provision. It is irrelevant whether your party is requesting or asking for the interest or not. Then the next question comes in, which is section 22. That talks about the specific disclosure about the unpaid amount of the principal and interest which is payable to your MSME. Is it right? Complete MSME? No. There is one catch. These all provisions are applicable only to micro and small enterprises, meaning thereby if I have some payable or I have some liability against the medium enterprises, then this disallowance will not be attracted out there. Then we have to just sit back and relax because we don't have any kind of liability. The liability will be only on the micro and small enterprises. So if you have any liability towards the micro and small enterprises, then if you are the corporate entity, then you have to report this in schedule 3 as well, notes to accounts, and you have to update the ROC with the form MSME 1, which is to be filed on a half-yearly basis. And if you're not the corporate entity, then you have to disclose in the financial statement, which will be filed with the tax audit. So your auditor will check this and he will also report the same in Form 3CD, where clause 22 of Form 3CD. After this, section 23, which says that the interest which we have discussed in section 16, that interest need to be paid. That interest is not allowed as deduction while computing the income tax from the Income Tax Act point of view. So if you have paid any interest to your MSME and you are claiming it as expenditure, then sir, it will not be allowed. You will have to exclude that, meaning thereby your income will increase, your profit will increase, and accordingly your tax will also increase. So my request to you, please ask your client to deep dive into the list of creditor, find out the parties where payment is pending beyond the due date on or before December and March, because 2 times you have to perform this activity, so that before 31st March you can ask your client to make the payment and clear the dues to avoid this disallowances. Section 24 also says that this act has overriding effect, means from this section 15 to the 26, whatever discussion we have made, these are having the overriding effect over any other law. So whatever written in the income tax or any other law, only MSMED Act will prevail, and what are written here will be the supreme authority, and you have to follow this only. So that is why the disallowances are there. Now coming on the legs of this 23 budget, the 43BH. Any doubt? If you have any doubt, please put it in the chat box. Till now, if anybody have any query. Chavdaji, if anybody have any query, you can just ask me here. Then we'll move on this new provision. Am I audible? Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Sir, I have said if there is any query from the participants with respect to the discussion which we have done till now, you can just raise right now.
Okay, just a minute, sir. Just a minute. Yes, sir. There are certain queries. One member from Ludhiana, sir, he is asking that what to do in case SSC is not maintaining and providing data for 43BH to chartered accountant in the absence of data for MSME. How other chartered accountant are dealing with this situation? Very important question, sir, for all the members.
So, sir, in this case, you have to qualify the report, and you have to give the qualification remark that the auditee has not maintained the record, and in absence of this, we cannot comment upon. And if the liability which you see are material, then go for the direct qualification. Otherwise, you can put it in the EOM para of your audit report.
Okay, so the qualification is the remedy, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. Because you have to save your skin. You cannot always take favor of your client before the authority. Because in your audit report, you always write that yes, the SSC has complied with all the regulatory requirements, and this is the regulatory requirement which your auditee is not complying with. So you will have to give the remark based on the materiality as per the standards on auditing.
Right, sir. So one another member from Mumbai, he is asking that whether the works contract is covered under 43BH. Yes, it is covered as a service provider.
Yes.
And one another, sir, member from Mumbai itself, in case the provision made in books of accounts on 31st of March, will it be the date of acceptance of service invoice, date of 31st March, date of booking the provision? I think provision is not covered. It will be on providence of service or the billing date. Yes, sir?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right, sir. Then one another member from Vadodara, sir. Can this be controlled by Tally or Zoho book, which directly identifies and report this notify before disallowability, sir? It's a software related query.
Both the softwares have the aging criteria, which you need to enable, and probably if the corporate client you're dealing with, then audit trail is also there. So probably you should enable this aging criteria, and when you will enable the aging function, you will come to know what are the due date of the liability, and on or before trigger options are already there. So that will also trigger to the concerned person or the account executive who is dealing your account function. So they will have to give you update and clear these dues on or before that. This is the only aspect. Otherwise, you have to assign, if you're not able to handle this, then you have to hire somebody else who can look after this on daily basis.
Right, sir. Sir, now I have one small question or rather doubt in my mind.
Yes.
Sir, the way in which the overall tradition in the market is there hardly, because we are just now doing the tax audits. So there are very few people are there who have paid the amount in timely basis. So there is a huge amount of reporting, sir. And if the government will take the action as mentioned in the law, sir, it will create a very huge problem or chaos, sir. So really, sir, what will happen, that is really doubtful. But it will be a very huge problem, sir. If the government will take real, or it will be very harsh on this provision. So let us hope and pray to God that government may excuse this time, because
Yeah, we all are waiting before the budget, and we were expecting that something will come in. And again, we are expecting that something may come in with the extension and all. But you know what the intention and what the way of working of government is, so we cannot comment upon, and we are not the
yeah,
authority to talk on this. But yes, indeed, even when we talk about this provision with so many trade association, industry association, everybody is very tied up, and all are saying some Chinese चीजों में लगे रहे कैसे करेंगे. It's really very difficult for everybody. Even for the chartered accountant, we all know that audit comes after 15th of September and sometime after 25th of September as well. So it's very challenging for us to get the audit done in a very short span of time. But still, it's our liability, and we have to trust on the system, and ultimately the main objective is we have to save our skin. Whatever reporting we are doing, whatever audit we are doing, we have to save our skin first, only then think about anything else.
yes, really, sir. And our institute also played a very good role, sir. All the
Right.
branches and these regionals and even ICI, HO have taken number of initiative and number of events and programs. So I think
Exactly.
members are at least clear what to do. And in the last moment also, see, sir, you are just here to enlighten ourselves that please be there, report appropriately, so that you do not have to at least पछताना पड़े sir बाद में. So very nice to listen you, sir, and that too in such a tight schedule. Around sir 450 लोग sir registered हैं, and they have taken.
We have lot to discuss. I will be discussing next 20 to 25 minutes. So I will try to cover a lot of things, and I want to tell all the members that all the prescribed, or you can say the draft comments, are already available with everybody. If you don't have, just mail me. I will share with you the draft comment which you need to put in your audit report with respect to this audit trail 43BH, just to save your skin. Because you all should understand, sir, you are taking use risk. It's not the time when you can just audit with the help of bank statement or some GST data. You have to deep dive, sir. 10-15,000 20,000 की फीस से आपका कुछ नहीं होने वाला है। अगर कुछ बड़ा रिस्क आएगा तो आपके लिए बहुत मुसीबत हो जाएगी। सो फर्स्ट एनालाइज द लेवल ऑफ रिस्क विच यू आर टेकिंग along with the fees and cost you have put in. Only then decide whether we have to sign without any comment or not. Lot of comments are there, draft comments are there, remarks are there. If anybody want, I can share with all of you over mail. You just put in over mail. I will share it with you. You can just put it in your tax audit or the corporate audit, in your statutory audit, just to save your skin. My humble request to all of you. Don't take risk at all.
Yes, sir.
So now moving further, let us deep dive the detailed process of this 43BH, how we have to analyze, how we have to review. So first, let us understand what exactly the clauses are. So earlier this 43B, section 43B was there, which was saying that notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of this act, a deduction otherwise allowable under this act with respect of any liability, and that is allowable or shall be allowed on actually payment basis. And if that amount was paid on or before the due date applicable to your client case for the ITR or income tax return, if that expense or liability was paid on or before, then expense was allowed. But the new challenge in the name of clause H has been inserted, and that says this proviso exclude that provision of clause H. This clause H says any sum payable to the SAC, any sum payable by the SAC to micro and small enterprises. Meaning thereby, if your liability is for the medium enterprises, then that liability is not covered here under 43BH. So just enjoy. You have to just see the liability or sum payable to micro and small enterprises only. Then beyond the time limit specified in section 15. So we have to understand three legs. One, any sum payable. So if any sum payable as on 31st March 2024, then you have to worry, otherwise not. Second point, to micro and small enterprises means if any sum payable to other than micro and small enterprises, then we don't have to worry. The third leg says beyond the time limit is specified. So section 15 says that if there is agreement, then the time limit would be as per the agreement. But that agreement cannot exceed 45 days. And in case there is no agreement, then 15 days would be the time limit. So if agreement is there, then for up to 45 days, then you can take timeline of 45 days. And if no, then 15 days. So if my liability or dues are for beyond these 45 or 15 days, and the same is standing as on 31st of March 24 and is still not paid, then that would be disallowed for the year in which it has been accrued. But it doesn't mean that these expenses are not allowed at all. These expenses will be allowed in the year when you will make the actual payment. So let's say expense was payable as on 31st March 24, beyond 15 days, but the same has been paid in the year 24-25, you can say in the month of May 24-25. Then, and if paid in 24, then, so if expense which was due as on 31st March 24, which is paid in the month of May 24, that is allowed in the 24-25. And if it is paid in the May 25, then it will be allowed in the 25-26. So we have to just keep it in mind. Second point says that, sir, if I have any liability which is payable to the traders, yes, traders do have the registration. They are the MSME and they have been included in this criteria. They can get themselves registered, and if they are registered on the MSME, then do I need to follow this for the MSME creditors as a trader also? Sir, no. Creditors are allowed to take the registration under MSME only for the limited purpose, and that is the priority sector lending. So creditors can register themselves as a traders can register themselves as a MSME, but only for the priority sector lending. Other benefits cannot be availed by the traders. So traders are not covered under the definition of supplier. So don't worry if you have any liability beyond 45 days, beyond 60 days, 80 days, 1 year. But your party is creditor, then this disallowance will not be attracted. Second point comes in. Sir, I have purchased some goods in the last year and my creditor was outstanding as on 1st of April 2023, and I have not done any kind of payment in the current year. So the same creditor is coming as on 31st March of 24. So is this allowed or not? Sir, what are you talking about? So disallowance is as against the claim which we are making as expenses in profit and loss account. Sir, for these opening creditor, we have already claimed the purchase as expense in last year. So this year we are not claiming any expenditure to these creditors. So that is why no disallowance for such creditor whose balances are standing as opening balances. Next, sir, let's say I have some opening creditor of around, you can say 5 crores. And during the year, we have made purchases of around 3 crore. And as on 31st March 24, that is the closing date, the creditors are around 4 crores. So as an auditor, I have raised query. Sir, you have opening balance of 5 crore, purchase 3 and closing is 4. And during the period, you have made the payment of around, you can say 5 crore, or lesser amount I will take, let's say 2 crore only. I will again repeat this example. I have opening creditor of 5 crore. During the period, I have made purchases of 3 crore. So total creditor comes in 538, out of which we have made payment of 4. So the closing creditor are 4 crores. Now question comes in. If these 4 crore creditors are outstanding for more than 60 days, then what about the disallowances? Can anybody answer this? The SSC says, or your auditee says, sir, this 4 crore payment, out of this 4 crore, I have made 3 crore of current year and 1 crore of last year. So no disallowances will be here, because for the current year, what expenses we are claiming, we have already paid the creditors. Sir, no. It will not be the situation and it will not be the solution. So the payment will be adjusted first against the opening balances, that is 5 crore, and the balance amount, if any remaining, will be adjusted for the current year. So that is the FIFO basis payment adjustment method you need to follow. So in this case, if you have any kind of permutation, combination or lacuna, so you just avoid that. Moving further, one more question comes in. That says, sir, I have purchased one of the capital asset of, let's say, 5 crore rupee, against which creditor is outstanding for more than 60 days as on 31st March. And we have not paid this amount till 31st March. And out of this 5 crore, the depreciation, let's say, for example, I have taken 10%. So that depreciation of this 10% amount, let's say 5 lakh rupee, has been charged to profit and loss account. So will this disallowance will be there and that attract under 43BH or not? Can anybody tell me? No, sir. Because this is what? Allowance or deduction? Sir, we are not asking for the deduction of any expenses, but it's simply allowance of this capital asset which we have put in place. So no creditor is against this depreciation. So that is why this will be allowed and no disallowance will be there. Now, a few more FAQ will take up just for your better understanding of this provision, because the more FAQ will you will deal with, the more understanding and disclosure you can put in your audit report. Sir, I have one more very good question I want to ask with you. Sir, as the date when we have made transaction with my creditor, he was not registered as a Udyam. But after the purchase, he has registered himself as a MSME. And as on 31st March, when we have asked to declare whether you are as a MSME, so he has given declaration that yes, I am MSME. So do I need to provide for the interest as against the outstanding or not? Anybody want to answer this? Sir, no. Because the date when you have entered into the transaction or you have made any purchases, at that day, the party was not registered under the MSME. And he has not put in the invoice or any place, any MSME number or declaration as MSME. He was not having the MSME registration certificate. So that is why this disallowance will not attract for those creditors who were not registered as a MSME. Then one more question come in. Sir, what about the GST? If I have a creditor, that also includes some GST liability. Sir, do you all really charge the GST liability in your profit and loss account? I don't think so, because you usually set off. So if you're taking credit, so it will be going into the duty and taxes either on the stand on the receivables. So again, there is no question of the disallowance with respect to this GST liability. Further, one question comes in, sir, if my creditor has not agreed with us or not shared any MSME certificate, but he has simply mentioned in his PO that he is registered under MSME, but nowhere he has mentioned that he has MSME apart from the PO. So should we consider him as a MSME or not? Sir, as an auditor, it's your responsibility to verify the chain of the document. And when you will verify the PO, you will find that MSME registration number or Udyam registration number is already there. And that creditor is MSME registered creditor. And for that sake, the reporting will be done as per MSMED Act. You cannot avoid that. Now, last point comes in. Sir, as auditor, how to verify whether any MSME, whether the creditor is registered under MSME or not, how the aging we should identify, how to verify, how to report. So the first step with respect to your audit would be, first take the list of the parties where outstanding balance is standing as on 31st March 2024. All the creditors, you need to take a list of creditor for 31st March 2024. Along with that, you will ask your auditee to provide the aging, or if you have the access to the books of account, either SAP or Tally, so you can deep dive into the Tally, you can generate the report by yourself as well, the aging. After that, you have to put a filter that how many parties are there who are having some outstanding balance for more than 15 days, because this is the criteria in case there is no agreement. So the cases where you find that the outstanding is for more than 15 days, ask your auditee whether these parties are registered under MSME or not, number one. Number two, if registered under MSME, then do you have any written agreement or understanding that for how many days credit you have? 30 days, 40 days, 45 days, 60 days, whatever days you have with that creditor. After that, you have to again put filter whether these parties payments are outstanding for beyond that agreed date or not. If yes, then select these parties, take the total, put the interest amount, and principal and interest both you need to report in the your financial. Now, if you have around 100 crore creditor, out of which only 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees are outstanding for more than these days, then do you really think that you have to qualify the report in this case as well? Then you have the option, because this amount is not so much material, and the tendency of borrower, tendency of your auditee, your client, is to make the payment on or before the due date. These are very less amount. In that case, you can put it in your EOM para of your audit report, independent audit report. So simply you can try this option as well. Further, one more aspect, if your auditee is not having proper detail, then take the list of all the creditor. If your auditee is having the email IDs of all the creditor, you can simply shoot a mail to all the creditor, giving them chance to confirm that if they are registered under the MSME, then confirm over mail within 5 days or 7 days time. But as of now, since we don't have so much time, so you can take it 2 days. And if you receive the reply, you also ask them to share the copy of Udyam registration. And if they share the Udyam registration certificate, then you have to treat these creditor as MSME. Now, if I have taken registration under the old UAM, Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum, but I have not updated or not taken a fresh registration under Udyam. So is that also valid as of now to classify as a MSME? No, sir. Now Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum is not valid. From 1st of July, it was mandatory to take the Udyam registration or convert that Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum into the Udyam registration. So as of now, or for the current year, if you have any Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum and that Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum is not valid to treat that party as a MSME. For the next year, if you are the auditor, then you can further add 1 or 2 more process to verify the transactions, the nature of transaction you deals in with that party. And based on that, you can also see whether the registration is valid or not, because in some cases you will find that the party is only engaged in the trading activity, but taken registration as a service provider or manufacturing industry. So that MSME registration is not valid, but you have to deep dive. As of now, since time is very short, so you have to rely on the MSME certificate or declaration. Apart from this, you have to take MRL. You all know the standards on auditing, which we need to follow. So based on that standard, it is required to take the MRL from your auditee that yes, they have diligently classified these parties into the MSME, they have valid registration. And for the sample checking, you can take 2, 3, 4, whatever sample you choose. And you can verify these numbers from Udyam website whether the registration is valid or not. This registration is need to validate and to get on every year basis, because the data of investment and turnover will be validated, through income tax and GST portal automatically based on the latest submitted ITR. So you have to see whether as per the latest Udyam registration certificate, what classification my auditees party have. If they have classification of trader, then 43 does not apply. If they have classification of medium enterprises, then this provision will not attract out there. Now floor is open for next 5 minutes. If you have any query, anything with respect to this, you can simply ask me. I will try my best to reply you.
Sir, in the question answer forum, I have received a number of questions and couple of or majority of them, sir, you have already replied, sir, when in between you have taken the question answer session. Sir, one important thing right now what you said is, sir, that will all depend upon the classification in the certificate. But sir, some number of members have raised the question that they are coming across with the certain certificates because, sir, earlier they were not providing the certificate to the trader.
Right.
So what they did is, sir, they have shown themselves as a service provider or a manufacturer, but in fact they are trader. So in that circumstances, what should be done?
Sir, in that case, you have to go with the certificate only for as of now.
Okay.
Because the ultimate proof is the certificate. If certificate is showing that the creditor is of service sector and they have mentioned the services in the description or the detail of services, then you have to rely with that. Because you cannot ask for the financial, you cannot ask for the justification whether they are correct or not. So as the auditor, you can simply ask for the declaration and the MSME certificate which they have.
Okay, okay. Sir, just we are dealing in certain cases
One more
where...
point I want to add here. If you are confident and if you know that the party is actually trader, but by forge or incorrectly he has taken this certificate, in that case, you can create a dispute with that party and that will be under adjudication. So once matter will be settled, only then payment will be released. Otherwise, this provision will not impact you in that case.
Okay. One member from Pune have asked that, what about the capex creditors?
That I have replied. For the capex creditor, this provision will not attract because you're not claiming any expenditure. You're not asking any deduction. You are simply just charging the depreciation on that capital asset. So depreciation will be allowed. No disallowance will be there.
Okay, okay. How to verify the auditee from the website? Okay, that is a website I think
So
available.
there is
No?
a Udyam registration portal. You just go there. There options search this verify Udyam registration certificate. You can just put in the number and validate. You will find whether the party is genuine or not.
Yes, yes. So there are overall 24 questions, but almost all you have already covered, sir. So now I'm not asking them individually, but thank you, sir. Almost our registration have crossed 400, sir. So 400 members have taken the benefit of your lucid this presentation. So thank you very much, sir, for
Thank you
sparing
so
your
much, sir.
time,
Thank you
just at the closure of the season also. So thank you on behalf of members and of course ICI as being the part of community, sir. I am very much thankful to you and thankful to all the members also, those who have also spared their time and made the effort of the ICI useful to members. And once again, I am announcing that on the 2nd of October, as being the Gandhi Jayanti and being the national holiday, we are not organizing any seminar. So please take note of this. Thank you, Tiwari sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
SP
sir.
committee
Thank you,
members. And thank
everybody.
you also for giving me an opportunity to moderate the event. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sure. Thank you.